What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and today I'm going to be bringing you an Invoked deck profile utilizing some of the new cards. Of course, we are using Revolution Synchron, because Revolution Synchron is just absolutely disgusting in pretty much any deck you can throw it into, as well as Shadow's Light, because there are some really cool combos with that as well. So let's go ahead and show you guys the build. Now, I do just want to let you guys know that at the end of this video, I am not going to be giving you a combo tutorial, but that is because I am making a fully dedicated combo video for this deck, because there are quite a few combos that I would like to show you all. So we're just going to go ahead and show you guys the build, so make sure that you are staying tuned for that combo tutorial here in the next couple of days. So starting things off, we are of course playing 3 copies of the boy Alistair. This is the main monster of the deck. This is what you are always going to be going for, because it searches your invocation, but more importantly than that, it is not once per turn. There is absolutely nothing on this card that is a once per turn effect, meaning not only are you able to use the normal summon effect to search the invocation more than once per turn, but you are also able to use the effect of pumping up a fusion monster more than once per turn. Now, that normal summon effect is going to come up because of a card that we are playing, and we will talk about that when we get there. For now, moving on, we have our 3 copies of Revolution Synchron. Pretty much any deck that plays a level 4 and a field spell is going to be playing this card, because it allows you to get into both a Crystal Wing and a Regulus, so that is 2 negates for essentially free, and you guys will see that in the combo tutorial as well. Moving on, we have a small Dogmatica package. Obviously, we have our 2 copies of Dogmatica Ecclesia, as well as our 1 copy of Fleur de Lis, and our 1 copy of Maximus as well. Now, that is going to pair with some of the other cards in the deck. Obviously, we are playing Nadir Servant, but you don't even need the Nadir Servant to access this line because of the next couple of cards we are playing. We are playing 1 copy of Guiding Quem, as well as 1 copy of Blazing Cartesia, and you might be questioning why these are in the deck, but that is actually because of Shadow's Light. You can use Shadow's Light targeting the Alistair to summon the Quem from your deck, which will then send the Cartesia to the graveyard, and once you conduct a summon from your extra deck, the Quem will be able to reborn the Cartesia, adding into the play as well. Moving on to the final monster, we have our 1 copy of Regulus, and that is going to be it. Onto the spells, we have a couple of one-ofs. We have our Called by the Grave, just to stop any hand traps. We have our Terraforming, because we are playing Meltdown, as well as the Therion Disc Coliseum. 9 times out of 10, you're probably not searching the Disc Coliseum off of the Terraforming. You're probably going to be going for something like the Meltdown, but in a worst-case scenario, you are able to do that as well. We have our 2 copies of Invocation. That's just standard for the Invocation engine, as well as our 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. I love this card as a going first option to play through hand traps, as well as a going second option as a board breaker. And as we know, because I've been saying it in every video, I believe that board breakers are better than hand traps for this format, which is exactly why we are also playing 3 copies of Book of Moon. I think Book of Moon is probably one of the best board breakers, probably one of the most powerful spells in the game at the current moment in time, so we have to play it in almost everything. Next up, we have 3 copies of Magical Meltdown. This is going to be one of the most broken cards. Not only are we able to search for our Alistair, but it also protects our fusion summons from being negated, as well as preventing our opponent from responding on the resolution of a fusion summon. Next up, we are going to have our 3 copies of Nadir Servant. This is going to be to get us into the Dogmatica package, even though we are able to force our way into it with stuff from the extra deck. If we don't have that combo, this is just another way into it to give us additional interruptions for our opponent. Next up, we have 3 copies of Shadow's Light. Now, the reason this is really cool is, like I said earlier, you are able to use it to target the Alistair and summon out the Quem, but you can also use it to give yourself an additional normal summon, meaning when you use the effect of Invocation to shuffle itself back and add a banished Alistair to your hand, you can just normal summon the Alistair again and get another search, which is actually really, really strong. Next up, we have 3 copies of Tuning. This is going to be so that we can search for our Revolution Synchron, because we pretty much always want that card in our hand. And that is going to be it for the spells. For the traps, we have our 1 copy of Shadal Schism, because why not throw a Winda into this disgusting end board as well. 1 copy of Dogmatica Punishment. This is just a good search target for the Ecclesia if you already opened up something like the Maximus or the Fleur de Lis. And finally, we have our 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Really good for going first, really good to just turn something off if you're going second. That is the main deck at 40 cards. Let's show you guys the extra. And since we are playing Cartesia and Quem, why not talk about the Fusion Summer Fun Double-Sided Metal Field Center, available for purchase on my website, insanetcg.com, link in the description down below. Don't forget, it is a limited run of just 100 copies, so make sure you pick yours up before they're out. Now, the extra deck is actually really cool because there is a lot of utility for this deck. So starting things off, we have our 2 copies of Makaba. This is just base for any Invoked deck. Any light plus the Alistair gets you pretty much an Omni Negate. Granted, you need a card to discard, so you're more often than not only going to be discarding a monster or a spell, but if you want to hold on to a trap, you can do that as well. Might be worth it if you're afraid of something like Evenly Matched. Then we have the 1 copy of Invoked Agoides, or however you pronounce this monstrosity of a name, but this is really important for one of the combos because you are actually able to use it to then climb even higher, because we are using something like Cross Sheep, and you'll see that in the combo tutorial. Next up, we have our 1 copy of Granual the Dusk Dragon, which is what we are going to be summoning off of the Cartesia, and more often than not, we're going to be using it to send our copy of Titaniclad. That is how we are able to force ourselves into the Dogmatica engine if we don't see the Nadir Servant, because we'll be able to use the Titaniclad to summon out our Ecclesia in the end phase, which can then search us something like our Fleur de Lis. Next up, we have the App Cologne and the Winda as our Shaddoll package. Obviously, we are able to send the App Cologne off of either Nadir Servant or the Maximus, which will get us our Schism to our hand. Schism will be able to summon out the Winda, so why not just put your opponent on that 1 summon turn. Then we have a couple of other targets. We have the Garura and the Natis. This is going to be for either the Nadir Servant and or the Dogmatica Punishment. Just really good targets, being able to give you both a draw and a pop. Then we have our 2 Synchros. We obviously have our Ancient Fairy Dragon and the Crystal Wing. This is for the Revolution Dragon package. And finishing off the extra deck, we have 4 Link monsters. We have our Salamangreat Almirage and our Secure Gardena. This is what we are linking off our Alistair into, and then we can link the Secure Gardena into, or the Almirage into the Secure Gardena to get not only a light, but also put the Almirage in grave. Some of you might be questioning why we're not playing the Artemis instead, because it skips a step to just get us into our light. But the reason we are not playing the Artemis is because if we do that, Invocation will banish it, and then we don't have an extra deck monster in our graveyard for the Dogmatica Maximus, which is where the Almirage shines. Then we have our Cross Sheep. This is actually really cool, and I'm going to show you guys that combo. You are able to put up a disgusting board thanks to this card, and finishing off the extra deck, we have our Appaloosa, making the 15 card. And there you guys have it. That is going to be my Invoked Revolution, Stratos Light, whatever you want to call it, deck profile. Stay tuned for the combo tutorial because I'm going to be bringing you guys a ton of just insane combos using this deck. If you enjoyed it, you know the deal. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends. Maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. Don't forget to check out the channel sponsored Dueling Guard using code INSANE18 for 5% off your entire purchase. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.